Ladies and gentlemen, let's get one thing straight. Being a smart woman isn't about how many degrees you've earned, how perfect your life looks, or how effortlessly you manage challenges. It's about something much deeper. It's about the way you show up for yourself. It's about how you think, the choices you make, and the kind of life you build. One that makes you proud to wake up every morning. I want to share with you 7 powerful principles that define truly smart women. These aren't just ideas to help you survive, they help you rise. They help you build confidence, earn respect, and create a life that truly belongs to you. The first thing to understand is that confidence is everything. But here's the truth. Confidence isn't something you're simply born with. It's something you grow moment by moment. Every time you speak up for yourself, every time you take action despite fear, every time you trust yourself to handle whatever life throws your way, you strengthen that muscle. The smartest women aren't the ones who never feel doubt. They are the ones who refuse to let that doubt define them. They look fear in the eye and move forward anyway. The second principle is emotional intelligence. The ability to stay calm when everything around you feels chaotic is what sets a woman apart. A smart woman doesn't react out of impulse. Instead, she pauses, thinks, and responds with clarity instead of confusion. She leads with understanding, not emotion. She listens to her instincts and applies reason before reaction. Because of this, she earns respect wherever she goes. She doesn't need to demand it. Her composure commands it. The third principle is something that far too many women overlook: financial independence. If you want real freedom, you cannot depend on anyone else to carry you financially. You don't need to be wealthy, but you must be aware. Know where your money is going. Know how you save, how you invest, and how you build stability. A smart woman takes control of her financial future because she understands that depending on others limits her choices. And freedom, true freedom, begins when you take responsibility for yourself. Now let's talk about something that changes your life the moment you master it. Boundaries. A smart woman knows when to say yes and when to say no. She's not a people pleaser. She doesn't say yes out of guilt. And she doesn't allow toxic people to drain her energy. She doesn't let others take advantage of her kindness or mistake it for weakness. She knows her worth. She knows her values. And she isn't afraid to say no when something doesn't align with her peace or well-being. The moment you stop letting people cross your boundaries, you begin to reclaim your power. You start standing taller, walking stronger, and living freer. And here's something else that every truly smart woman understands. Learning never stops. The world keeps changing. The people around you keep evolving. If you stop learning, you fall behind. A smart woman reads, listens, questions, and stays curious. She never lets pride or ego stand in the way of growth. She adapts, adjusts, and keeps striving to become a better version of herself every day. So here's the truth. Being a smart woman isn't about knowing everything. It's about being willing to learn. It's about choosing to build confidence, mastering emotional awareness, taking charge of your finances, setting strong boundaries, and committing to lifelong growth. It's about believing that you are worthy of creating a life that feels true to who you are. The decision is yours. Are you ready to become the strongest, most confident, most unstoppable version of yourself? Because she's already inside you. She's just waiting for you to let her out. Confidence isn't about always feeling certain. It's about deciding that no matter what happens, you'll figure it out. The smartest women don't wait until they feel ready. They act first. And with every step, confidence follows. Each time you move forward despite fear, you prove to yourself that you can. That's how real confidence grows. Think about the last time you did something for the first time. Maybe you spoke up in a meeting. Maybe you traveled somewhere alone. Maybe you made a choice that scared you. You might have felt nervous or unsure, but you did it anyway. And look at you. You made it through. It might not have been perfect, but what you gained was worth more than perfection. You gained proof. Proof that you can handle things that once scared you. That's what confidence really is. It's not a trait, it's a skill. And like every skill, it gets stronger the more you practice it. One of the biggest misconceptions is that confidence comes after success. But that's not true. Confidence comes first from taking action, from showing up for yourself, from proving that you can handle what you once thought you couldn't. If you want to feel confident, start by taking small risks every single day. Your brain is wired to protect you. It doesn't care about your dreams or your goals. It just wants to keep you safe. So when you step outside your comfort zone, your mind floods you with doubt. What if I fail? What if I embarrass myself? What if I'm not good enough? But here's what smart women know: those thoughts aren't facts. They're just fear. Fear trying to keep you small. The key is to move anyway. Take that first step. When your mind tells you to stop, remind yourself, you don't have to feel ready. You just have to begin. That's why confidence and courage are inseparable. Courage comes first. Confidence is what follows. Courage is the seed, confidence is the bloom. Now let's talk about failure, because it's one of the biggest barriers between women and confidence. Somewhere along the way, we were taught that failure is something to avoid, something that defines us. But that's a lie. The smartest women see failure differently. They see it as part of the process. They know that failure isn't the opposite of success. It's the path to it. Every mistake, every setback, every rejection is feedback. It's information that teaches you what doesn't work and brings you closer to what does. Think of the most confident woman you know. She wasn't born that way. She's faced her own doubts, rejections, and heartbreaks. But she learned to keep going anyway. And each time she rose again, she grew stronger. That's real confidence. Not the absence of fear, but the refusal to be controlled by it. So how do you build that kind of confidence? You practice. Every day, you speak up even when your voice trembles. You make decisions without over-explaining. You take up space without apologizing. And most importantly, you stop waiting for permission. Confident women don't wait for approval to go after what they want. They trust themselves enough to take the first step. They understand that action builds clarity, not the other way around. And here's another truth. Stop comparing yourself to others. The moment you measure your worth through someone else's life, you give away your power. Smart women know that confidence is an inside job. It doesn't come from likes, followers, validation, or comparison. It comes from knowing you are enough, even when you're still growing. Confidence isn't about always feeling great. It's about showing up, taking action, and proving to yourself that you are capable, even when you don't have all the answers. Because every time you do something you once thought was impossible, you expand your limits. You realize how strong you truly are. And the stronger you become, the less fear has control over you. That's when you start to live freely. That's when you stop apologizing for existing. That's when you begin to lead, not just others, but yourself. And that, right there, is when you become truly unstoppable. Smart women understand that boundaries aren't walls. They're guidelines for how they deserve to be treated. They don't create boundaries to keep people away. They set them to protect their peace, their time, and their energy. Too often, women are raised to be people pleasers. To say yes when they want to say no, to avoid conflict, and to put everyone else's needs ahead of their own. But here's the truth. If you don't set your own boundaries, someone else will do it for you. And that's how you end up feeling drained, resentful, and exhausted. Boundaries are about respect. Not just respect from others, but self-respect first. If you don't honor your own limits, you can't expect anyone else to. Many women feel guilty when they start setting boundaries because they think it makes them selfish or cold. But smart women know the opposite is true. Boundaries are an act of self-care. They are a quiet statement of confidence that says, this is what I will accept, and this is what I won't. It's not arrogance, it's clarity. So how do you begin setting boundaries? You start by getting honest with yourself. Ask, what are my limits? What drains my energy? What makes me feel unappreciated or disrespected? What am I tolerating that I shouldn't be? If something leaves you uneasy, exhausted, or taken for granted, that's your signal. A boundary needs to be placed there. The next step is to communicate those boundaries clearly and calmly. Wise women don't over-explain, they don't apologize excessively, and they don't try to justify their choices. They simply say, I can't do that, or that doesn't work for me, or I need some time for myself. Notice the tone? It's calm, direct, and without guilt. No lengthy excuse, no nervous laughter, no guilt-driven reasoning, just truth. And that is always enough. The hardest part of boundaries isn't saying them, it's keeping them. Because here's what happens: the people who benefited from your lack of boundaries will not be happy when you start setting them. They'll push back. They might guilt trip you. They might make you feel like you're the one in the wrong. But that resistance is not a sign that you're doing something bad. It's a sign that you're doing exactly what you need to do. A wise woman understands that boundaries aren't about controlling others. They're about managing herself. She doesn't set a boundary hoping people will respect it. She sets it and then follows through when it's crossed. If someone keeps ignoring your boundaries, you adjust their access to you. If a friend constantly dumps their problems on you, but never asks how you're doing, you stop picking up every call. If a coworker keeps pushing their workload onto you, you say, that's not something I can take on right now. Let's talk about guilt, the biggest obstacle when setting boundaries. When you've been taught to put everyone else first, choosing yourself will feel wrong at first. You'll think, I'm being selfish, or I'm hurting someone. But remember this, your needs matter, your time matters, your peace matters. And anyone who truly values you will respect the limits you set. The people who get upset about your boundaries are usually the ones who benefited from you not having any. Here's the beautiful part. Once you start setting boundaries, your confidence grows. You stop feeling like a victim of other people's expectations and start taking ownership of your life. You begin to feel lighter, freer, and more at peace. You attract people who respect you, who value your time, and who love you for who you truly are. Because in the end, boundaries teach people how to treat you. They're not about shutting people out. They're about saying, I matter. My needs are important. I will not settle for less than I deserve. Wise women don't wait for permission to set boundaries. They know protecting their energy isn't selfish. It's essential. Much like boundaries isn't something you're born with. It's something you build. Smart women understand that confidence isn't about looks, status, or being the loudest voice in the room. It's about how you carry yourself, how you trust yourself, and how you move through the world without needing to apologize for who you are. Confidence isn't a feeling, it's a decision. It's the daily choice to believe you are capable, worthy, and enough, even on the days you doubt it. One of the biggest mistakes women make is waiting to feel confident before taking action. They think, I'll speak up when I feel ready, or I'll go after that opportunity once I feel more prepared. But that's not how confidence works. Confidence doesn't come first, action does. You build confidence by doing the thing that scares you again and again until it doesn't. Every time you show up, even when you're unsure, even when your voice shakes, you prove to yourself that you can. That's how confidence grows, through proof, not promises. The greatest enemy of confidence is self-doubt. That small, persistent voice that whispers, "You're not good enough. You're not smart enough. You'll embarrass yourself." But self-doubt is a liar. And the only way to silence it is to stop waiting for it to go away and start acting anyway. When that voice says, "You can't do this," respond with, "Watch me." When it says, "What if you fail?" Answer, "Then I'll learn, try again." Confidence also comes from keeping promises to yourself. Every time you say you'll do something and follow through, you build trust in yourself. Every time you take even a small step toward your goal, you prove that you can rely on you. The most confident women don't just talk about what they'll do. They do it. They don't wait for motivation. They don't wait for someone else to say they're ready. And they don't wait for approval. They act. And through that action, they create the confidence they thought they needed to begin. Another truth about confident women is this: they stop chasing validation. The moment you start looking for approval, you hand your power away. Confidence isn't about someone else saying you're good enough. It's about deciding it for yourself. When you stop needing to be liked, when you stop trying to prove your worth, you become free. Because confidence isn't about being liked. It's about being respected. And respect begins with how you treat yourself. That means speaking up when something doesn't sit right. That means saying no to things that don't align with your values. That means walking away from situations and people that make you feel small. And it means embracing who you are, flaws and all, without apology. Confident women don't shrink to make others comfortable. They don't dim their light so others can shine brighter. They take up space. They use their voice. And they understand that their worth is not up for debate. Confidence isn't just mental, it's physical too. It shows in your posture, your tone, your presence. When you walk into a room, how you hold yourself speaks before you say a word. Shoulders back, chin up, eyes forward. You don't need to feel confident to look confident. And the moment you start looking confident, you begin to feel it. Research shows that the way you hold yourself changes how you think and feel. So if you want to feel stronger, start by standing like you already are. And here's something every confident woman understands. Failure isn't the opposite of success. It's a part of it. Every confident person you admire has failed more times than they can count. The difference: they didn't let those failures define them. They saw each one as proof that they tried, learned, and grew. At the end of the day, confidence isn't something you wait for. It's something you create. It's not about being fearless. It's about taking action despite fear. When you stop letting doubt run your life, when you show up as the woman you want to be, every single day, that's when everything begins to shift. Boundaries and confidence go hand in hand. Boundaries aren't about rejecting people. They're about protecting your energy, your time, and your well-being. Wise women know that saying yes to everyone and everything is the fastest path to burnout and resentment. They understand that boundaries aren't selfish. They're necessary. They are a form of self-respect. And when you set them, you teach people how to treat you. The challenge is, many women have been conditioned to believe that boundaries make them difficult or unkind. We're taught to be agreeable, to accommodate, to please. And because of that, we end up tired, overwhelmed, and frustrated, all because we're afraid to disappoint someone. But here's the truth. Every time you say yes to something that doesn't serve you, you're saying no to yourself. You're saying no to your priorities, no to your peace, and no to what truly matters. And that's not kindness, that's self-abandonment. True strength lies in knowing when to say yes and when to say no. It lies in knowing your worth and refusing to accept less. It lies in understanding that protecting your peace doesn't make you hard. It makes you wise. Because at the end of the day, the smartest, strongest women are the ones who know this simple truth. You can't pour from an empty cup. And when you take care of your energy first, you don't just become better for yourself. You become better for everyone around you. Wise women understand that setting boundaries isn't about controlling others. It's about taking responsibility for themselves and their lives. It's about honoring the choices they make and standing by them. When something makes you uneasy, when it drains your energy or goes against your values, you have every right to say no, to draw a line, and to protect your space. The most powerful part, you don't owe anyone an explanation. No is a complete sentence. The first step to setting boundaries is noticing where they're needed. Pay close attention to the moments that leave you feeling resentful, frustrated, or exhausted. Those emotions are signals. They are messages telling you that something is off balance, that something in your world needs to change. Maybe it's a friend who always takes but rarely gives. Maybe it's a family member who doesn't respect your space. Or maybe it's a job that's slowly draining your spirit. Whatever it is, don't ignore it. Once you see it clearly for what it is, you can begin to change it. The second step is communication. People can't respect boundaries they don't know exist. Wise women don't expect others to simply understand what they need. They express it clearly. They communicate their limits with calm confidence. Not anger, not guilt. They don't say, "I'm so sorry, but I just can't." They say, "I need some time for myself." Because when you set a boundary with hesitation, you leave the door open for others to challenge it. But when you set it with confidence, you make it clear that it's not up for debate. Here's the truth. Not everyone will like your boundaries, and that's okay. The people who truly care about you will respect them. The ones who get angry or offended are often the ones who benefited when you had none. And that's not your responsibility to fix. Your job is not to manage other people's reactions. Your job is to protect your own peace. And this is where most people struggle, enforcing the boundary. Setting a limit is one thing, but holding it when others push against it is another. And they will push. The moment you start saying no, the moment you start putting yourself first, some people will test you. They'll guilt trip you. They'll try to make you feel bad. They'll remind you of how you used to be. But this is the defining moment, the point where you either hold your ground or fold back into your old habits. Strong women hold their ground. They don't bend just to make others more comfortable. They understand that every time they allow someone to cross a boundary, they're teaching that person it's okay to do it again. And that's no longer acceptable. One of the most powerful things a woman can do is stand firm in her boundaries without apology. Because boundaries are not walls. They're mirrors of self-worth. They say, "I respect myself enough not to allow this." They say, "I value my energy enough to protect it." They say, "I love myself enough to put myself first." And when a woman embraces that level of self-respect, she becomes a quiet revolution. She gives permission to other women to do the same. At the end of the day, boundaries aren't about pushing people away. They're about protecting what matters most: your time, your energy, your peace, and your mental well-being. Once you learn to enforce your boundaries with confidence and without guilt, something shifts inside you. You start to feel lighter. You start to feel stronger. You start to feel in control of your life again. You stop feeling like a doormat. You stop feeling drained. You stop living a life dictated by what others expect from you. The truth is, the most successful, Fulfilled women aren't the ones who do everything for everyone. They are the ones who know their limits, protect their peace, and refuse to betray themselves just to keep others happy. And if you want to become that version of yourself, it begins with one thing: setting boundaries and never apologizing for it. Confidence isn't something you're born with. It's something you build. It's a muscle. And like every muscle, it grows stronger the more you use it. Smart women understand that confidence isn't about knowing everything or never feeling afraid. It's about taking action in spite of doubt. It's about showing up even when you don't feel completely ready. Because here's the truth: no one ever feels 100% ready. If you wait for confidence before you act, you'll be waiting forever. Confidence doesn't come first. Action does. Confidence grows when you take a step, when you try, when you prove to yourself that you can. Every small act of courage feeds it. Most people think confidence means being fearless. It doesn't. Confidence means being willing to fail, willing to look awkward, willing to make mistakes. Every successful woman you admire has felt fear. Every one of them has doubted herself. Every one of them has wrestled with imposter syndrome. The difference is, they didn't let those feelings stop them. They acted anyway. They walked into the room. They spoke up. They made the choice. Confidence is built in those small moments where you choose courage over comfort. One of the biggest killers of confidence is overthinking. Smart women know this. Overthinking is just another form of self-doubt, a mental loop that keeps you stuck. You sit there replaying every possibility, worrying about what others will think, convincing yourself you're not enough. And the longer you sit in that cycle, the harder it becomes to move. The best way to silence overthinking is to decide and act. Take one small step before your mind talks you out of it. The more you do this, the more you train yourself to trust your instincts. And that's where true confidence begins, in self-trust. The way you carry yourself also has a massive impact on your confidence. Your body language doesn't just send a message to others, it sends one to yourself. If you walk into a room with your shoulders slumped, eyes down, and voice small, you're sending your brain a message that you don't belong there. But if you stand tall, lift your chin, and speak with clarity, your body tells your mind a new story, one of power, one of belonging. Studies show that confident posture, shoulders back, open gestures, steady breathing, actually changes your brain chemistry. It increases your sense of control. Smart women use this intentionally. They don't just think confidence, they embody it. Another key to building confidence is your inner dialogue. The way you talk to yourself matters more than you think. Your mind believes what you tell it over and over. If you constantly repeat, "I'm not good enough," or "I can't do this," your brain starts finding reasons to prove it true. But if you choose different words, "I can figure this out," "I'm learning," "I belong here," your brain starts believing that instead. Smart women are mindful of how they speak to themselves. When doubt shows up, they don't let it take over. They challenge it. They replace it with something stronger. They understand that the most important conversation they'll ever have is the one they have with themselves: failure. Two is not the enemy of confidence. It's the foundation of it. Every mistake, every rejection, every stumble teaches you something vital. Smart women don't see failure as a reason to stop. They see it as feedback. They analyze what went wrong, they adjust, and they try again. The most confident women are not the ones who never fail. They're the ones who refuse to be defined by failure. They don't dwell on mistakes, they learn from them. Confidence isn't built by avoiding failure, it's built by walking through it. Confidence also grows from the people around you. If you surround yourself with voices that doubt you, that minimize you, or that don't believe in your potential, it will eat away at your confidence. Smart women are intentional about their circle. They spend time with people who inspire them, challenge them, lift them higher, and remind them of their worth when they forget it. They don't waste time proving their value to those who refuse to see it. They invest in relationships that fuel their growth, not drain it. Because confidence thrives in environments of encouragement, not criticism. At the end of the day, confidence is a decision. It's not about waiting until you feel fearless or waiting for someone to tell you you're ready. It's about deciding that you are enough right now, that you are worthy, that you are capable. The smartest women don't wait for permission. They give it to themselves. Confidence isn't something you're handed. It's something you claim. And the moment you do, everything in your life begins to shift.